aren't really educated or properly, they don't have the knowledge to understand, to differentiate what separates the quality job or what separates a lower end job. And it's typically the guys that are newer. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody starts somewhere. But for mobile guys, it's really a cap. And I'm sure there's guys that do really, really good mobile, but all the guys that I know personally in my close network that have done mobile and have shops that have had the mobile side going, they've done cut and dry. They're not doing mobile anymore whatsoever. So I do believe there is a cap, but you can be creative with it. There's always ways where you can upsell and things of that nature. If your packages are including every single thing under the sun for $200, there's not going to be anything else to upsell. Like what are you going to upsell at that point?
Mm-hmm.
So mobile is a great starting point. I know there's a lot of guys that have been doing mobile for 8, 10 plus years, and they're perfectly fine with it.
Tell us a little bit about you. I know you've been on this episode before, or we did an episode about 2 years ago, and a lot has changed. But just let us know a little bit about you.
Yeah. So my name is Bradley Johnston. I'm owner of Autoworks Detailing in Chester, Virginia. I've kind of been through all of the phases, I guess you can call them, in the detailing realm. So while we still do offer general detailing, the paint correction, the ceramic coatings, the window tint, the paint protection film is basically our main service right now. So I've done it all, essentially, I guess you can say it, from the days of driving around with the open trailer to the enclosed trailer to working out of my garage to now in a 4,000 square foot facility where it's, like you said earlier, it's some people's dream to have a facility like this. And I don't take it for granted whatsoever. We've worked very hard to get to this point. But there's a fitness influencer that I follow. Says proud but never satisfied. So you have to be proud of what you've accomplished, but not get, big headed and arrogant. You have to stay humble with everything that you're doing, because people will catch on. They will see that, and it bleeds through. So that's basically my little gist about who I am. And then I'm sure we'll open it up to some more specific questions. But I did actually, when we started talking about having another pod, the second one, we were actually listening to the original podcast. And I was basically like an accountability check. Like, let's go see how idiotic I sound back then, which is only 2-3 years ago. And I was actually pretty proud, because everything that I said I would do, I did, and more. So that was good for not only myself to hear, but also my current employees that I have. Like, hey, whatever he says he's going to do, generally he's going to do it. I don't really like to BS or, sugarcoat things. Pretty straight to the point, cut and dry. But I feel like that's kind of how you have to be, and also have a good personality as well to be able to handle a lot of different personalities. So I've been through it all, from, working for myself solo to having upwards of 5 employees at one time, which was an absolute headache. And it was a ton of work and a lot of stress to deal with that. We got through it for a little bit and had to do some cuts and stuff like that and things of that nature. But that's just a part of the business, unfortunately, which I've also had to grow into, because I like to treat everybody like family and treat everybody like how I would want to be treated as well. And telling somebody that basically it's not going to work out is a very hard conversation to have, especially when the guys that are working for you depend on you, and also rely on you to, pay their bills and, help them grow, not only as younger adults, but also kind of going into the future as well. So it's been good and bad and stressful, and all of the other adjectives that describe, being a small business owner. But we made it through, and we're keeping all rolling, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And the guys that I have with me now, I have 2 employees currently. One's been with me since back in my garage days. His name is Ben. He's my lead PPF installer. Very good with paint correction, ceramic coatings. And then I have another guy named Pat, who's been with me for just about a year in February. He's a general detailer. Details like a freaking slug, dude. It's hilarious how slow he is. It's like a running joke at this point, because how could you not detail a car in an efficient amount of time after 1 year of doing the same exact thing? Which I know he's going to listen back to this and get a kick out of it and be like, really, guy, you really had to say that? But like I said, cut and dry to the point. He's doing a lot better now, I will say. The patience was tested with him, but he learned the detailing process. We've got him doing some polishing now, and he's actually going to be taking over the window tint installations that we're doing now, because I used to do all of the window tint whenever we moved to the facility. I didn't have a tinter, so I do have the ability to do that. I've been trained multiple times, but I'm kind of letting the reins go. And Ben handles all my PPF and all our PPF installations. Pat does all of our window tint installations as well. We have plotters and all that good stuff. So not hand cutting or putting blades on anybody's glass, or limiting the amount that we're doing so. But he's doing a really good job. I trained him myself, kind of getting the film prepped and getting it off the plotter and setting it up, getting the panels clean. Because just like a car, if you can't prep a window or have a clean install, you're not gonna be able to lay film. So he started out with the bare bones, printing my film, cleaning my windows, weeding all the film, anything that I needed him to do in that process before I actually came over and stuck that window, he was doing for about 6 months. So it severely helped him out now because he's seeing the importance of the prep and really, really being tidy with your prep work, which makes your installation a whole lot easier and more simple. Because tint is very finicky, and I would personally say, probably one of the more difficult films to install very cleanly. And we do them all. We do vinyl and tint, PPF, and all of that good stuff. So you get your thumb on that adhesive and you get a little piece of trash, you can't get it out, you're toast. So that goes back to your standards as well. But he's doing a really good job transitioning to that. He's getting a lot more confident. You can typically see when people first start how they're I guess timid, or they see you do it so easy and they're getting in there struggling. But his confidence level is going up, and that's really all you need is the confidence to do a good job. And then before you know it, you're laying film like a champ. So he's doing a really good job on that. So I've kind of stepped out of the labor side of things, although I do help them prep vehicles and install particular PPF panels and still tint some back glasses and help shrink and stuff like that. But I'm mainly sales, customer relationships, the marketing aspect, which I don't really do too much paid marketing or really any at all. I'm still holding true to that. There is a place for that, but I haven't really found the need for it at this time. Will I ever need to do it? I don't know. But currently that's kind of where we're at with that. And my team's very solid. So we're very, very, I'm very lucky to have those guys because they treat the business like it's their own. They all have families. I've been with, or Ben's been with me through 0 kids to he has a child now. So it's kind of growing together. It's been cool to see. So they're putting a lot of trust in me to provide for them and their families because they don't have any other jobs, obviously, or they do some side work here and there. But other than that, it's basically on me to get those jobs in and keep them busy to where they can come in and provide for their family. So I take that pretty seriously. So I try to do my best to keep them busy and keep them rolling. Although sometimes they wish they weren't as busy as they are. But sometimes I tell them just to enjoy the slow times. Right now it's a little weird. The schedule for the last 2 or 3 months all over the United States. I talk to guys that are from East Coast to West Coast, and it's just like a funky time. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm assuming it's around the election and all that good stuff and uncertainties. Could be weather. We've had snow. We've had 70-degree days the following day, and we've had rain. So it hasn't really gotten consistent yet. We're staying busy enough, but it's not where we want to be. And I know there's a lot of other businesses that, are afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say it. It is what it is at this point. We're going to move forward and keep improving and using our downtime, what we can call it, to maximize whatever skills we need to hone in on or get the shop cleaned up. There's a lot more space now to clean. So they do, or we do a lot of that as well. I feel like I'm sort of like a housekeeper. They're doing work. I'm walking around picking up towels and all sorts of stuff. So it's cool to have space to walk around in, but also it's can be time consuming as well. So
Yeah. No, that's really cool. What I kind of got from that too is like you understand the with employees, man, that's like that's a different realm that like we don't prep for. You don't really know until you get it, until you're there. You think like you want to overhire, and then you realize that like, oh, now you got 5 guys, like you said. It's like that's 5 different personalities, that's 5 different work ethics, and you kind of have to play with that to see if it matches your business. But it is cool to hear though that like I think what some people don't realize, and if they don't realize it, I think their business will struggle. But is it's kind of transactional between an employer and an employee. Like you need something from them, just like they need something from you. You realize that hey, it's my job to keep them busy. So like the importance when you're on the phone or when you're selling is like it is for you personally because you got overhead, you have bills to pay, and you want to make money as well. But like, hey, you want to keep your guys busy because they got family, they got mouths to feed as well.
yep,
So it's cool to hear that like, hey, you understand that it's transactional between like you and your employees, and like it's kind of a balance. I think a lot of employers are like, me, and they don't realize that like that person on the other side is actually providing their business with so much value. Um, something I didn't realize too, that I'm just remembering, that you were mobile before you worked out of your garage. What would you say, like, now you offer like protective films, and you offer like window tint, and adding these services, do you think there's like a cap when it comes to guys that just want to stay detailing and doing like cleanup services? Do you think there's a cap on like how far they can grow with just doing those services without adding like window tint and PPF?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty hard to do mobile tent, no, a mobile PPF. Obviously, the customer has a garage, or I have a buddy down here that does mobile window tint and PPF, and he has the ability to find customers that have garages. But he actually has a pretty cool van setup where he blocks the wind and has his peel board on one side, and then installs and then shifts the vehicle and does it like that. But I've seen guys online, tinting windows from the inside with the door closed. I can't remember what the guy's account is, but he's literally cleaning the window on the inside of the car, pulling the liner off, and then stick. I'm like, how do you,
Yeah.
like, I'm too big for that.
Yeah,
So,
I know a guy you're talking about. He like
yeah,
he'll roll the window up and like sit in the vehicle.
yeah, it's
That's kind
amazing
of
because
cool.
it looks like he does good work online. I'm sure he does it, but it's pretty cool to see. But as far as your question, I do believe there is a cap. There's only so much, ability to charge a higher price whenever you're mobile. You can obviously do, one-step polishes, and now there's companies like Johnston that are doing, and they've been doing this, but they're having mobile-friendly coatings where you can apply them in direct sunlight. Obviously, it's more ideal to do it in a controlled environment. You do have the ability to do it mobile, but there's only with so much that you can do mobile. And what I found too is that offering, the film, all the protective side of things in a controlled environment, there's only but so much that you can charge for a detail, because nowadays there's a different world than what we lived in before. I think we talked pre-COVID. Wasn't it pre-COVID that we talked?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So now it's like there's so many more people doing the same. Like there's only but so many ways to cut, a general detail. And now there's
Mhm.
people that are doing, $200 details on any size car, carpet, engine bay, like the
Mhm.
whole 9 yards. And the customers aren't really educated or properly, they don't have the knowledge to understand to differentiate what separates the quality job or what separates a lower end job. And it's typically the guys that are newer. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody starts somewhere. But for mobile guys, it's really a cap. And I'm sure there's guys that do really, really good mobile, but all the guys that I know personally in my close network that have done mobile and have now have shops that have had the mobile side going, they've done cut and dry. They're not doing mobile anymore whatsoever. So I do believe there is a cap, but you can be creative with it. There's always ways where you can upsell and things of that nature. If your packages are including every single thing under the sun for $200, there's not going to be anything else to upsell. Like what are you going to upsell at that point?
Mhm.
So mobile is a great starting point. I know there's a lot of guys that have been doing mobile for 8, 10+ years, and they're perfectly fine with it. I like to scale all the businesses that I have as well. And there's only but so much that you can do mobile, although it is, I would say, maybe like a 10-year plan, I guess you can say. Or if you have
Mhm.
multiple vans going at one time, and then you have to be able to trust somebody with your equipment. Obviously, I'm not saying it's not profitable whatsoever, but there's more efficient ways to make more money for the work that you're doing. Using your time wisely and being efficient is the key word. So if you're able to rail out, a full detail, make $200 in an hour, that's pretty profitable, I would say, because you probably got $15 in chemical and maybe the gas to get there, depending on how far you're driving. So, um, yeah, but mobile detailing was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I kind of went to that is because I think we all start mobile, for the most part. And it's like, it's a rough way of life, like it'll make you, in the beginning, you're optimistic, you're motivated, and then you get a good sunny day, a couple days in a row. And it's like, man, this is a rough living.
I
One
was in
thing
good
I
shape though
do,
when I did mobile.
do what?
I said I was in pretty good shape when I was mobile. I'll talk
Yeah.
about I'll talk about health and wellness here in a little bit. It's
But
important.
I think what, like, you're kind of a walking testimony of like, and you even mentioned it yourself, is you're aware that like upsell is kind of this game. This whole industry should kind of, how you scale it, I think, and mobile's great. Like you can upsell windshield coatings or interior coatings or whatever that is, or like, but there's kind of a cap to it. Like after coatings, there's nothing else you can really offer mobile. I mean, people make it work, but you offer window tint, PPF, coatings, and detailing, and the kind of the sky's the limit. But like all of those services pair so well together. So like when someone comes in for window tint, I assume you're probably like mentioning ceramic coating or paint protection film to them, and they all kind of ebb and flow together, and it's kind of cool to see like someone who does come from the mobile world yourself, and it's like that has a cap, and I think like and that could meet everybody's or some people's requirements of like what they want out of life, and you can scale it, you can get commercial contracts and make decent money mobile, but I think without offering window tint or PPF or like that threshold from going like from $10,000 a month to the potential of $100,000 months is those services in between. Because the margins on paint protection film and window tint is crazy. Window tint's probably the best one. Just because it's so it's kind of in that ceramic coating world. Like the product cost is really low, but you can charge whatever. I mean, there you can charge $1,000 for a tint job if it's, a good film.
Yep.
Um, and it's kind of like in that ceramic coating world as well of like you have a 7 year and you have a lifetime or however your coating packages are, but like tint's that same way. Hey, it blocks 90% or hey, it blocks 70%. The install is the same amount of time almost, and you
Yeah.
you make your money based on the performance of the film.
Yep.
But I think it's cool to note that like for anyone listening, it's like to get to that extra step, I think you do need better services, because they all upsell together.
Yep. And then one thing I could say as well, if there are any mobile detailers listening or the ones that are listening, you can offer those services if you have somebody in line with what the quality of work is that you do. Let's say you sub it out and say, hey, we offer window tint. It's not you coming to do the window tint, it's another guy, but you have to know that he's going to do that quality work and treat that vehicle exactly how you would treat it. Because if you got a problem, guess who they're going to ask? Guess who they're going to call? They're going to be calling
Mhm.
you, the detailer. They're not going to be calling the tenor because the tenor doesn't even really exist at that point.
Mhm.
They're coming in to do that work that you sell for them, and they get a percentage or however they work it out with each other. But there are ways to get around it. You just have to find a good network. And then you run into the only downside of that is that if you do have somebody that you're subbing work out to, you're getting them a whole lot of money and a lot of work, and then you start offering that service on your own, and you kick them to the curb. There's going to be probably some words said that either side may not like. So
Mhm.
it's good. It's also touchy as well. So, but there are ways to do it. You just have to be creative, and then just do the work to make it happen. So,
Yeah, for sure. I want to wrap or I want to go back to you. You said you do very little paid advertisement right now, right?
yeah,
And I like that approach too. The fact that you've grown to the level that you're at all off of organic.
yep,
Um, is kind of, in my opinion, the best way to do it because once you stop paying for paid ads, that your leads go away. But once you stop paying for organic, you wasn't paying in the first place and you're still staying busy. So it's like, I think that is the best way. And every market is different. Every city is going to be different. But if you can build up like you did, your reputation and word of mouth, you can scale so much more because you're at a point to where you're in what some people's dream spot would be and you haven't even gone that next step of getting paid leads. And it's like you could max out at, let's say 100,000, 200,000 a month, from organic, not paying for ads. And then you take that step and put a budget in there. And it's like that paid ads can sometimes match what your word of mouth is. And it's like, that's when you could really, skyrocket even more. But I think a lot of guys kind of skip that organic approach. And it's like, let me go straight into paying for ads. And that might be the move, for some people, some people's market, but it's cool to see like you getting to a step of, without having to, pay for what leads you're getting in. And I think it's what a lot of people should do instead of hiring, these ad agencies, which I would say probably 90% of them are scams. But
yeah.
um,
I'm gonna do a shameless plug here. You can keep talking. I'm listening.
But
Uh,
no, I
yes,
was pretty much
you're
done.
right.
It's cool, man. I think that is the process. And if you skip that process of like building your reputation and doing it the free way, it's sweat equity. It probably takes a little bit more time than because paid advertisements are going to give you a return on investment pretty quick just because you're paying for it. But those go away, and those people they're just not as they're not going to refer you as often as the people that that you found word of or found you by word of mouth.
Yeah, you have no relationship with people that just find you on Google. I love dealing with people. I like and love building relationships and seeing people over and over and over again and having their nephews and their cousins and their brothers and their mom and their grandmas come in. I just took an old school business approach, which doesn't exist anymore, doing the hard work. I've paid, I think, actually, $30, I think is what I've spent in marketing since I
Damn.
started. And it was actually boosted. So it's actually free ads. So I actually technically didn't, I've spent $0 on marketing since I've started my business. So it's all been through social media, word of mouth, face in the dirt, just getting after it over multiple years, staying consistent and doing a little bit extra for certain people, depending on the situation. And it just spreads and spreads and spreads. We do have people now that we have the shop that haven't been referred by anybody. Those are not paid, and I didn't pay any dollars to obtain that client. They're just driving by the shop wondering what the heck it was, because our shop actually took 3 years to be built. It was supposed to be 8 months. So with COVID, it kept pushing back and pushing back and pushing back. That's how I was able to get my third bay. And now we have 4 bays because I got another bay about 8 months ago. But people kept dropping out because there was uncertainty. They say, hey, we're going to be in this date. That date would roll around. They're like, it's going to be 6 months, or that it's going to be, we don't know when it's going to be. So I stuck it out. I was looking in the meantime. There was nothing else that was relatively close to the price that I have for a new facility. It wasn't built the best. It was not cheap, but it's not built to a high standard. It's just done, basically. It's good enough. And I spent I've probably spent over $100,000 on all of my bays, getting it straight, no loans, no anything like that. I've had money saved up. I have a plan and goals that I set, and then when I know what those things are going to cost, I start setting money aside. And then when that time comes, when I know it is, bang, we can do it. Mm-hmm. When I got the keys to the shop, I started moving my stuff over that same day. As soon as I got the keys, 2 hours later, I was loading my trucks up. I brought everything over from my house over by myself on a weekend and got it all set up. So granted, over time, we did drywall and paint and windows, and, it looks fantastic. There are a couple more things that I want to do. But I got in and started, getting down on making it look exactly how I wanted it to look for the service and the work quality that we do. So that way, whenever somebody walks in, they already know that we do great work. The shop is clean. It's super new. It's nice. It's painted. It's finished out. They see the cars that we're working on. Basically, when they walk in 10 foot in, they're basically halfway sold already, just because they already heard about us, seen us on Facebook for years. They followed us. They finally saved up that money to get a service with us. They come in and it's like a freaking fun factory of detailing.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the marketing stuff goes, there are a lot of bad companies out there. I talk to a lot of different people that are stuck in certain situations where they're signing contracts, losing the rights to all their information, losing their own website, all the content on their website. So if you are going to use a company, make sure that you vet them and that you read the contract, because as soon as they get that name, it is no longer your name. So it's been, dozens of people that I've spoken to asking me for advice. And I'm like, my advice would be probably to read the contract for one, before you sign it away to somebody in China that's building your website for $8,000. But I have a lot of connections that I built over the years. One of my good friends, Josh Martin, owns Imperial Black Media, where he does targeted ads, Google SEO, website design, all of that. So we have another business together. It's a garage flooring business that we started doing, epoxy floors that we do on the side with all of our free time, which we don't have many or much. But yeah, so he has Imperial Black Media. He's done a good amount of sites for a lot of the detailers that I know. We're obviously trusted, in the community to know exactly what we're talking about. He has access to my brain to know exactly how to target certain people or certain services. He can pick my brain and help those people out. So shameless plug for Imperial Black Media. Maybe we can tag his info and get the people hooked up, because there's some places, I'm not going on tangent, there's some places that are very, very high for what they do. And I know what goes into it. I did all my own stuff, and I obviously have access to what Josh does. There is a good amount of work. I'm not saying it's easy, but the price that some of these places are charging is crazy. Like, you have to take out a loan to get a website.
I know.
It's just crazy. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that I'm blessed that I don't have to go that route just yet. If I do ever, find a dry month or dry 2 months or 3 months, I might look into the marketing aspect. But all of our customers are buying cars, year in, year out, and they come
Mhm.
straight to us, and we're doing all of their protection services and all their maintenance services. So it's just a kind of like a recycling or a revolving door, I guess is what you can call it. So,
Mhm.
but that's my little marketing spiel. But you can do it paid, you can do it unpaid. The one
Mhm.
thing that I found as well with people that are calling and asking me questions about the marketing is that I think you said it's very quick. In a lot of cases, it's not very quick. You have to be able to build up those keywords and build up those searches and all of that good stuff. I'm not an expert on it, but I do know if you're spending, $1,000 a month, you may not start getting results for 3-4 months, and at that point you start losing trust and faith in the people and what they're actually doing. But you got to give
Mhm.
that machine time to work, and the people that know what they're doing can make it work a little bit quicker.
Mhm.
But it does take time. It's not instant. That's the only bad part about it, is you're shelling that money out and shelling that money out, and you may not see your result as quick as you want, but it will come. He's worked with some of my clients that have other businesses, retail businesses, and all sorts of avenues, and they're doing well. So the
Mhm.
return on investment is very high as long as you're using the right people. And I have pretty good knowledge on the detailing industry and all what goes on and how to target certain people if I need to. So it's good to have somebody on your side, I guess is what you can say, rather than somebody just taking your money and saying they're doing something and having no way to back it up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we started a like flat glass tint business,
Oh,
and
sweet.
yeah, it's that's a fun industry, man. It's a lot easier than automotive too, because I don't know how to tint automotive.
Because it's flat. It's flat.
It's easy day,
If you
man.
can cut a corner, you can do flat glass.
Exactly. It's pretty fun and like the margins are great, but it's kind of one of those businesses like your garage flooring. It's like it was a side business, and I feel like with side businesses, you can kind of take that paid approach because it's like it's not you don't have the time to dedicate to doing it the old-fashioned way as much. So
Correct.
it's like you want quicker returns if you have the money to put into it and invest in marketing and wait a few months for it to start to pick up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the move, and that's kind of what we did. Now we've kind of went down this hole with trying people who specialize in quotation for flat glass marketing and it's like pushing out money to people that like you start to think, I think they're just outsourcing it to India and, taking our money. And that is what probably 90% of the ad agencies do that aren't
Yeah.
like, you know, there's good ones. Like, don't get me wrong. Like you said, like, he's not, he's working on it. But like, I think when it comes down to it, if they can't show you analytics and they can't show you like where you're getting the lead, most of
100%.
the time they don't even have control of your ad account. And that's kind of sad, man, because it's like y- you're outsourcing this to an ad agency for them to act as your partner, essentially. Like they're taking something that either you don't know how to do or you no longer have time to do. They are your business partner in a way. They just take a responsibility off of you. And we've kind of come to the conclusion that like we can't do it ourselves, but it's like you got to find someone good if you're going to pay for ads. You have to have someone trustworthy and reputable. But
Yeah.
um, I think it is cool though to see to go back to you growing to the stage you're at though without paid ads. It's kind of it's cool to
Unicorn.
see. Yeah.
Like a
um,
unicorn.
but it's for anyone that's like out there and like I think in today's world people think they have to pay for ads um just because like with technology and stuff, but there is the old fashioned way still does work. What would you say, what are some things that like you said you're still growing, you still want to scale, at what point what are some other things that you want to add? Is it services, or where do you want to see your business in let's say like 1 year, 5 year, 10 years?
I wouldn't say I'm looking to add any more services. I'm just looking to maximize the services that we already do. Sorry, I'm trying to find
No, you're good.
my iPad is sucking dry with this receiver and this, all this beautiful knowledge being spewed right now. Oh man. All right, we're charged up. Make sure you can see me. There we go. Can you see me? We good?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, so I don't I don't really think we're going to be adding any more space or any more services per se. I want to maximize the services that we currently offer. So the detailing, not that it's slowed down, but that's not really my focus anymore. But we still do quite a few details. But maximizing the film is a huge, huge route that I want to maximize. So the paint protection film and the window tint. For example, for anybody that's listening and wondering, you can do, let's say you do a $400 detail. It's going to take you about 4 hours to do, depending on if you're doing the labor yourself, or in my case, I have employees. Let's say it's taking them 4 hours to do, and you have your expenses, your payroll, taxes, all of your, your utilities and all that stuff. You might have $300 into a job, if not more, depending on how long it takes. So that's the detailing portion for, let's say, for a window tint service, and you're tinting a truck or a sedan. You're going to be around $400 to $450. Depending on how good you are, you can do that in 45 minutes. So you're not breaking your back. You're not blowing dust and dog hair in your face and in your nostrils, and your hamstrings aren't tight by the end of the day. Obviously, everybody knows the labor that goes into it to do a detail, bending over, standing up. Like, we're not young anymore. I'm old. I'm not old, but I feel old. But would you rather do a 4 hour detail, make 75 to $100, or do a 45-minute tint job and make $350?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a different way to look at it. And now that I've done everything, I kind of see the efficiencies that can be had to capitalize on. So that's why I've got Pat out of the as much out of the detailing that I can, because he loses me money basically when he details. I'm laughing so hard because I know we're gonna listen to this back and he's gonna just be curled up in a corner like this, like a little turtle. But no, so I've found ways just to maximize his time and just all of my employees' time, Ben's time, and also my own time as well. Because sometimes we're doing a detail that's so bad, like you can't have one guy on it because it just take him 8-9 hours to do. So then you got 2 guys on it or 3 guys on it, and then you're paying 3 hourly rates or salaries for one detail, and it can still take you 2.5-3 hours. Then you're losing money. So at that point, why are you even detailing?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to add any more services, no more space or any more space. But I definitely want to maximize the services that we currently offer: the paint correction, the coatings, being a true one-stop shop where people can come and bring a car, whether it's new or used, have the window tint done, have the correction done, have the coatings done, have the film done, have any, chrome deletes on vinyl if they want that done. So they don't have to go to 5 different places to have, a quality service performed. So that's what we've really been capitalizing on the last couple of years. We've been growing every single year. I don't think I've done anything different. I've just stayed consistent in, my actions and things like that. But I don't foresee us getting any more shop space. I don't foresee us adding on another service. I guess it could happen, maybe a second location. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't think there's a second location happening. But if I look back on this in 5 years and have 2 locations, you'll thank future Bradley.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Austin Thornell right before he came to see you, like a few weeks ago or something. And we were talking about like populations of cities, like with detailing. I was telling him because like I kind of like within the tent world, population doesn't matter. People want their cars tinted regardless of small population or a massive city. And I think a lot of detailers, I think there are some cities that detailing just can't, there's not an income for it. I don't think that it is a luxury service. And to make it in this industry, I think you have to target the luxury clientele that have expendable income. And I think cities that have a very low population, you have to either offer something like tint as your primary service, or you have to target a city nearby that has the population or the income to withhold, the industry that you're in. But I was telling him, I'm like, because he's getting into tent. He just came to your shop for training. I was telling him, I'm like, man, because I think he's in a smaller city. I think in Alabama that's kind of like small population. I don't know what the income is, but
Wetumpka, Alabama.
Wetumpka, Alabama.
Wetumpka, Alabama. That's
you
my
know,
guy.
so
That's
like,
my
and I
guy.
don't know that city, but man, I was like, man, it could be, I don't know he knows his market better than I do, but there's so many cities in the US of detailers that are like on year 5, man, and they still just aren't making it. And it's like, they could be doing every single thing right, but it's like that population or that city just can't hold what you're trying to offer it. So there's just not a market for it. But I think if people pivot and they become a tent shop first or a tenter first, the upsell for detailing is a little bit easier than it is to, be a primarily a detail shop and then offering tent as a secondary service. So I think like certain cities, I think they should brand themselves as a tent shop over detailing, and I think it will get them the clientele that they want. Um, because I think every city wants tent, whether it's for looks or whether they can afford $1,000 tent job. I think that's something everybody wants. I don't think detailing is what every single person wants.
Yeah, and a lot of times too is if you do have the ability to detail, you could tint a ragged on car, and it may have to have a detail before you even tint it because there's
Oh
no way
yeah.
to do a clean tint job when it's a trash car. But I will say, some of my cleanest work has come on the most ragged out vehicles that I'm like, there's no possible way I could tint this. I slap it on there. I'm like, all right, that's lucky. Let's see if we get lucky 9 more times.
Yeah.
Customer sitting there watching. I'm like, man, dude, I ain't never done this before. He's like, what? Tinted a truck with mud in the gaskets, like just all over the place. Anyway, but yeah, Austin's my guy. He's a good guy. And like
He
I said
is.
in our first podcast, I think it was 3 years ago. If you're not doing film in 5 years, you're gonna be left in the dust. No matter if it's paint protection film or window tint, even vinyl wrap. Even though vinyl's a little bit more lower profit margin, unless you're doing commercial graphics and things like that. Then it gets to the bigger tickets because the customers are willing to use it as expenses for their businesses. But yeah, Austin's a really good person. I've actually been to his Tui Tomka. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm saying that right, but I know a lot.
No.
I know a lot of the guys in his area. It's definitely not a big place. I think all his competitions like a football toss that way and like a football toss that way, and they're like meeting for lunch and breakfast and all that.
Yeah.
We got a real small town feel, but his new shop is super nice. River Region Detailing. He gives me crap for saying his business name wrong. It's what is it? RRD on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
RRD. Yeah, he calls me every day, pissed off. He's like, "This fucking window or this freaking window ain't going in." I'm like, "Buddy, try it again. Welcome to tent. Welcome to tent, pal." Sorry for cussing. I don't know if that's allowed on here or not,
No,
but
you're good,
I
dude.
try to keep it clean for the
No, you're
children
good.
listening. I know there's a lot of probably young detailers out there. But
No.
yeah, Austin's a good guy. I actually got into window tint training, is what I call it. I actually don't even like to think I'm a good window tinter, although I can tint very well. But a lot of people try to get me to train them on window tint. I say, I'm not training you on hand cutting. Get a plotter. I'll teach you how to install clean, prep a window clean,
Mhm.
stick it clean, teach you how to shrink and all that to get you started. Then it's on you to figure it out. Where a lot of tint trainings, you're spending $4,500 to $5,000 for 3 days, and half the time they're leaving with very minimal knowledge, and they're teaching people how to cut on stuff. And these new vehicles are such low quality, no matter how much you're spending on it. Where you cut on a soft piece of glass, you're replacing glass, or you cut a
Mhm.
piece of trim. Like people are so nitpicky nowadays because they're paying so much for their cars, and the services that you're providing are higher ticket prices. They're
Mhm.
walking around with a microscope, so you cut one wrong piece of glass, or you cut their gasket, or you scratch this or scratch that, you're gonna be in a heap of trouble. Whereas if you're plotter cutting, you're never touching a car with a blade. You
Mhm.
can pop panels, you can shrink on the outside, you can do whatever. I like to teach bottom loading where you're not touching anything. You're not doing heat on the outside of the window. You're not doing heat on the inside. You're basically popping the panel back, cleaning everything and sticking it, squeezing it down, and you pop your panel back on, you're good to go. So I like to
Yeah.
teach just how I do it. And I've been trained quite a bit in window tint as well, and paint protection film also. But yeah, I don't claim to be a tint trainer, but I can get people on the right path and on the right track, and I know what brands to go for, what brands to steer away from. Austin got in with Suntech as soon as he got back, who's the brand that we use for our paint protection film and our window tint and all that good stuff. So it's good to see him get in with that. He got set up and he's already rolling. I said, do your discounted services, get in there, get your work in, tint a window 9 times if you have to, make it look good, figure
Mhm.
out your standard for what you want to accomplish for your tint jobs, and then get that standard and continuously work on it. Because tint, it's gonna. I told him, it's 2-3 years consistent tinting before you're actually like, I can do a majority of cars. I have no problem, doing this, doing that. You're ready to go. So if you're expecting to do tint and be, a beast, or tinting windows or shrinking any window that there is, windshields are pretty popular to do now, and they're pretty curved. So unless
Mhm.
you can shrink very nicely, you can. The profit line goes way down if you keep messing up or you creasing your film or whatever the case may be. So, but yeah, Austin's my guy, good guy. I know a lot of guys down there in Alabama.
Yeah, I love the dude. Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about was just like, tint is, I mean, flat glass margins are crazy because it goes with like when it's someone's business, the price tag. Not that it doesn't matter. You're in a different realm when it comes to like bidding now. Whereas like automotive, you don't really have to like bid. They either like your shop or like you, and they want to go with you. Um, but tint's one of those things, man. The margins are. I think I agree with you in the sense of like if you're not doing a service other than just detailing and coatings, because I don't know if I want to say it in the sense of like, I think coatings in 5 years or 10 years, I think it's going to be like wax, man. I think it's like that market is not that it's like dying at the rate of wax just because wax lasts like a month or so, but like the market has kind of been ruined by guys that are willing to do it for 300 bucks, like it's like coatings, you could charge 2,000 bucks if, you believe in the product and you believe in your install or if it's installed properly, but it's just I think the market for it is happening like detailing and you got guys that are kind of ruining it for the rest of us. But um I think tents will the one thing that's like they're like it's like a dinosaur service, man, but it's never going away. PPF is the new thing that I don't think is going away either, because it's tangible. You look at a coating and it's like, is it on there? Or is it not on there? When someone's buying it and they're paying high ticket for it, it's like with PPF you can feel it. You can see that there's film on there. You can with tint you can look and see that that has tint on it, but pick up a car that's coated, it's like it could be glossier. It could be, they notice it when they wash it, but it's not something they can like feel and see. So I don't know if like I think there's services that, and if you don't like put your eggs in, if you don't spread your eggs and put them in different baskets, I feel like you're just all in on detailing, then I feel like there is a cap, like we mentioned earlier. You if the market changes, it's your whole business is done, so um I don't know. I think everybody should eventually, not should, because there's some people that might be happy with just you doing mobile detailing. They've built their business to make what they want to make. But for anyone looking to scale, I think, offering film is the move because, you can upsell a detail on top of tint, or you can upsell PPF or a track back or, full front or whatever. If someone comes in with a nicer vehicle for window tint and they may not even knew about PPF, and then you educate them and boom, you just turned a ticket that was 500 bucks into, 3,500. So, like how long does it take? Is it Ben that does the paint protection film? How
Mhm.
long does it take him to do like a full front on like a Model Y?
He can get it done in a day. He normally lollygags in about a day and a half or a day and a, no around lunchtime. But if he needs to get it done, I mean, there's some shops that are doing them in 2, 3 hours. So
Yeah.
Teslas aren't necessarily the most difficult car to do, and there's a lot of Teslas floating around now.
Mhm.
But I would say typically about a day and a half, 2 days, start to finish, where it's ready to go. But typically we're doing the correction and the coatings and the film and the tint, so we're having cars for 3, 4 days at a time. So he not that he takes his time, but it's not a super rush to do that because
Mhm.
normally he's waiting on something else to be done, or he'll do the film first and we'll do the polishing later and then the tint later as well.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it all varies on the level of the installer. And we're not like super experienced, although we do quite a bit of PPF. We've only
Mhm.
been doing it for about 2 years, so
Oh, dang.
but it's skyrocketed for sure. Like I feel like
Yeah.
we were doing more film than anything, which is great. But it took a little bit of time for our area to pick up what
Mhm.
we were putting down. And now that a lot of the other businesses, follow what we do, now
Mhm.
everybody's doing paint protection film.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing window tint. So they're
Mhm.
following along Big Daddy's trail.
What you're near Chester, right? Or are you in
Yeah,
Chester? You're in
I'm in
Chester.
Chester, Virginia. Yeah, so 30 minutes outside of Richmond, which is the most populated. I think we talked about the population on the last podcast. So it's
Mhm.
not really that big compared to Richmond, but
Okay.
it's big enough to have a good business. But the like to piggyback off my comment about everybody doing what we do once they see that it's starting to work, is
Hmm.
now we're fighting those people that are new incomers charging 1,500 bucks for a full front end.
Hmm.
Billy's coming in like, hey, this shop's charging $1,500. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, there's physically no way that I can do it for that cost. I pay my guys very well. I pay
Mhm.
taxes. We have a shop. We have utilities. We have expectations. And the product that we do is unmatched. I said, are you going
Yeah.
to go into a Porsche dealership with a budget of a Honda Civic and be like, hey, I want that 911 GT3 RS when you
Hmm.
got money for a 2006 Honda Accord?
Hmm. For sure.
So not
But
sound like a dig, but
yeah,
that's just what it seems like.
I do think the objections though, as far as like when you're in, when you're offering services that are higher tier, like you are, I think the objections to that, because like we get it all the time as well, of like someone comes in and, wanting a full front or tent and the dude's half the price as us. It's a lot easier to say, hey, we're not going to be the cheapest. Like it comes down to film quality. How long are they warrantying their film? Or, is the skill good? Or are they wrapping as many edges as possible? Um, I think it's easier a lot of times not to like talk bad about, you don't even have to like name another shop, but it's a lot easier with that type of clientele of being like, hey, there are cheap guys out there. I know you're probably going to want to get, other quotes as well, knowing that we're not the cheapest and you're probably not the cheapest in your area. And it's like telling them that it comes down to film quality and skill of the installer. Um, and how the price reflects that. A lot of times, man, it's like, and you probably show a lot of clients your shop as well and like show them around.
Mm-hmm.
Having like an open door policy sometimes wins them over, man. I think sometimes people that have a nicer vehicle, yeah, they want a cheaper price and they don't want to get like gouged by any means. But like, I think a lot of times the curiosity of a higher price sometimes intrigues them enough to buy that higher price, going with someone that is higher priced.
Yeah.
So I think with detailing though, that's you, if someone's half the price of you, typically they're going with them. There is no like, there's no
Good.
going.
I don't want to detail anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool because as soon as you offer paint protection film or tint or kind of a one-stop shop, you tap in instantly to the type of clients that you want to work with. Detailing is hard to like, I mean, your brand can show what you want to work on and like the clients that you want to work with, but it's very hard to like put yourself in that category of the clients that you want to work with, because everybody can afford a detail for the most part, but like not everybody can afford paint protection film or window tint. So it's like instantly, as soon as you start offering that service, you got the clients that you want to work with in a way.
Yeah, and I will say to the customer's defense is with film. I mean, film's been around shoot since freaking Vietnam on helicopter blades, so
Hmm.
it's not like it's a new thing within the last 30 years. But to the customer's defense, they don't really know the difference between a good film and a bad film. So they go to shop A, they say they offer the best film, they install the best, they
Hmm.
warranty the best. They back their work the best. They go to shop B. They're $1,000 more. They use the best film. They back everything. Come in
Yeah.
when you want. Well, the other guy said the same thing.
Yeah.
He's $1,000 less. At that point, what are you supposed to do?
Dude, we had
Try it out and see.
what is something you want to leave like everybody with? Like, what is some good advice? Because you've kind of been through every stage of this business, from mobile detailing, from detailing out of your home garage to now being in a dream facility. What's some advice you could give to someone that's listening?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would definitely set goals. Like you asked me, like what my 2 year, 5 year, 10 year plan is. Sit down, think about that. Think about where you want to go with your business. If you want to do it forever, or for a long time, if your plans to build it and sell it. If you have a particular goal, you need to set those so that way that you can have something to work towards, not just blindly working your butt off and getting your face in the dirt just day in and day out, because time will fly. I did mobile for it was like 5 years, 5.5 years, and that time flew by. So setting goals is definitely important, knowing where you want to be, what you want to do, companies you want to work with, film you want to use, products you want to learn how to use, trainings you want to go to, finding mentors that are going to set you on the right path. I have quite a few mentors and guys that I really rely on for insight. And if I ever have any questions, I can call them. Jeremy at Shine Supply. Jeremy Stevens over there is a big mentor of mine. I went to training with him back in 2019 because I loved what he stood for and what that brand stands for. I still rock it to this day. basically it's my wardrobe is Autoworks, Shine Supply, Modesta, and all the brands that we work with, and the guys that I've trained have sent over shirts and stuff like that. But Jeremy's a big one. Chase Tubbs at Insane Paint Auto Detailing. My man Nola at Nola Auto Spa. So having guys in a small, tight-knit group that are all friends, like Mike is cool with Jeremy and Chase, they're all, kind of in that same tight-knit group. I'm not saying that we're going to dinner, having like weekly phone calls because we're all super busy, but seeing guys in a position that you want to be is big. I've looked up to Chase since I started mobile detailing. One of my former bosses, when I was in St. Louis going to college, found out that I was getting into details. Like, hey, man, you need to check this guy out, Chase. And at the time, he was super low, not low tier, but early in his business stages where he was actually working out of his garage as well, working on hot rods and things like that. And we got in contact, kept in touch, and now, he's still one of my good friends. And he actually graced me with the ability to host his event called the Shine Showdown, which happens once a year, where we haven't made the video yet. We're still working on editing it. But it's every November where detailers from across the United States come in. They're all in one facility, learning from each other, not only from a business standpoint, but personal as well. I think some push-ups were done because Chase is all gung-ho into fitness and being American and all that good stuff. So he had everybody in there doing push-ups. It was awesome. I'm like, buddy, my elbow kind of hurt, but I did them daggone push-ups, my boy. But no. So we had that event, the Shine Showdown. We're going to have it again this year. We had 40 registered businesses that attended or that signed up. We had 35 that actually showed. We had a couple that had to back out for, various reasons, but we had, representatives from Shine Supply was a sponsor for our shirts. Actually, I might have one. Let me grab one. Hold on. Hey. Jeremy graced us with these shirts. Hopefully I can see it. But we made these logos. Badass. It's called Find Your Fire. Chase Tubbs designed that. I got my little Autoworks on there, and then also my Shine Supply logo as well. So Jeremy was gracious enough to do that for us. John Purdue, helped us out with some lunch. He was with Modesta. We're with Suntech. So the head trainer, Tiana, who is an absolute beast and an awesome human being, actually trained us. We set up a training right before for Ben to get some extra work, and we try to get him here one time a year because he's one of the best in the game. And then our sales rep was also attending as well. They had a great time. They got to gain a lot of clientele and just meet people, kind of see what detailers are about, because they work with a lot of shops that just do film and they don't really get to experience people that are in different walks of life and different businesses. So that event was super, super good, super impactful, and not just business but personal as well. There's some pretty cool stories that were told during that event that kind of open your eyes that we're all kind of in it together, and finding out, who's willing to come to these events is cool, because not only did you meet new people, but a lot of the people that were here, you're talking to these people, more than sometimes you're talking to people that are, 5 minutes away from you that you know for your whole life. So I talk to detailers more than I talk to probably anybody else, to be honest, just because we're all, in the same struggles and same, we have good weeks, we have bad weeks, we have good months, bad months, things like that. And we all rely on each other for insight, and having mentors and a circle that you can rely on for asking any question, no matter what it is, whether it's personal or business, is huge. There are a lot of people out there that will take advantage of people like that. So I would definitely, do your research and kind of feel out certain people, because there are not so great people in the detailing industry that a lot of people look up to, that people don't have the backstories on and, behind the scenes information on. But finding mentors, finding guys that you can rely on is going to be huge going forward, because you'll talk to those people for years. Yeah, so that's pretty much that event. But mentorship is big. Finding people that you can rely on is huge. And also, one thing I did want to touch on as well is the health and wellness portion of it. Because obviously, whenever you start out, typically you're starting out whenever you're a little bit younger, so you're in shape, you're motivated, you're like a freaking raging bull. And then by year 5 or 6, you're like 20, 30 pounds heavier. You're like eating cheeseburgers on the way to your next job. You're like super out of shape. Then you have kids and you're, sitting around the house watching them. I'm sure you gained some weight when you had your kid. That's just natural. But it can slip away pretty quick. So having people that are, mentors and a close friend group that will basically tell you, say, hey, you need to, get your crap together. and get back in the gym, start eating good, because they're obviously some of my close friends that I see every day and talk to every day. One actually owns a gym, who actually is a pretty cool story as well. So he started out as a personal trainer in commercial gyms, and then started working for another small gym, and then he started his own gym, and now he just moved into I think it's how big is it, 4 or 5 thousand square feet facility that he just got in. Is fully decked out as super high end equipment. Kind of like me, where he didn't really spend money on marketing to target everybody. He found a close knit group of people, and there's a lot of people that are still working with him to this day. I think 7 years. I think he's been doing it for 7 years, and it's not the same group of people, but it's a lot of the same people that he started out with, kind of like me, where I'm detailing cars for people that I've been dealing with since 2016, where he's still training those people. And he just made the gym. It's called Hines Fitness. His name is Eric Hines, but it's in Prince George, Virginia. If y'all ever pass through, go check it out. But he just made his first public, I guess, membership is what you can say, where before you had to basically be in there for personal training or small group training or boot camps, which is what he has on the weekends. But now it's open to the general public. So I've been able to, go in there and work out, because I have a personal training background as well, although I wasn't in good shape whatsoever. But basically, he's like, you need to get in here, get your stuff straight. He's my golf partner on the weekends, so we're out there banging balls, just crushing golf balls, working out. We're not training for golf, but training that we're doing helps with golf as well, because we're kind of addicted to golf now. We're at the same country club and all that, so it's pretty cool to see what he's done with his business, and how he's able to basically kick me into shape. So I started going. Basically opened up the new facility right when January came around. So I'm down about 22 pounds. And I've been going, basically, I don't really have a lot of time. So that's really what hung me up before, because I got young kids. So, and my wife was a night shift nurse as well. So it was either go like in the smack dab in the morning, go late at night after working. And after I was working, when I was by myself or when we had 1 or 2 employees, I just didn't really feel like, I was already just gassed out for the day. So I would just sit around, eat, couldn't sleep, had anxiety, just all that bad stuff that came along with just being a business owner. And basically my wife switched her job. So she's working mornings now. So now I just had to basically make time, which I don't really have time, but I go during my lunch break. So I'll eat food on the way. I'll work out for an hour and I'll come back. Granted, I lose quite a bit of time with when my kids go to school, because they go to school at 9:30. So I'll take the kids to school at 9:30. I'll come to work for 2 hours, make my calls, get the guys straight. I'll go to lunch 11:30, come back around 1:15, 1:30, and then finish out the day. So it's been a big help, dropping all that weight. Not only are you more confident, but you feel good. You're looking a little bit better. Your work days don't really feel as long. You have more energy. You're going home, you're eating good. You're waking up, you're eating good. You're going to the gym, you're feeling good. So the detailing is it's a physical, labor intensive job. So that's another reason why, if you're younger, start planning your years to when you start getting a little bit older. And detailing years, it's like 10 years in detailing is like 30 years anything else. So plan ahead, realize that you are in probably good shape now, and you probably will not be in good shape down the road just because of how busy you're going to be. So plan ahead, get a plan for business and also for your personal situation as well, and make it to where you can have longevity in the game, to where you're not having to, chase years of neglect on your body and on your mind and how you feel. Because, I'm feeling very good right now. I want to lose probably 20 to 25 more pounds. I like to walk around like 230. I think I look really good and feel good. People say I look good now, but I look good at any time. You know what I'm saying? Besides when I was almost 280 pounds, which is what I was pretty much at. So, yeah, I'm 6'2". I have a bigger frame, but 280 is like big. And I've always been like the fit guy, working out, like playing sports, athletic. I'm a freaking athletic specimen. Ask anybody. Ask it. I'm telling you. People don't believe it till they experience it. But anyway, so get a plan, get healthy, stay healthy,